Welcome to, what is this show? I've been speaking to you so long on the pre-show. Welcome to Conversations with Deborah, a bi-coastal dialogue with myself, Malcolm Berman, and my beautiful co-host, Deborah Manning. Deborah,
Thank you kindly.
tell us what we're doing.
Kindly. Hi, I'm Deborah Manning. A native Californian, used to be a news reporter for the PBS, NPRs, and Cap Cities of the world in Los Angeles. Loved it until I decided to get out and decided to become a loan officer. So I help people get into homes. Really enjoyed that. Malcolm and I both met, my goodness, years and years ago when my late husband and I were doing a talk radio program about money, real money.
Was it and that we met?
What's that?
Was it at your Sweet 16 that we met?
Yes, absolutely. And moved to South Carolina 6.5 years ago, and have not regretted going back. I miss California. There's some times I do miss California because, as I say, I'm a native. But bottom line is, it's been very, very educational for me to be here in South Carolina. It's a different way of life, different types of people, and I've really enjoyed the education. It means that an old dog can learn new tricks, so I can.
If I could, you call yourself an old dog?
Well, what can I say? So it's been an interesting week, has it not, Malcolm?
What's happening that's new?
I'll tell you. It's been very, very tough watching the news since the 23rd on Wednesday, when Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, has declared war on the Ukraine. We've watched the Ukrainian people fighting back the war machine of the Russians. And last night, I got to tell you, it was something when they had reports that the Russians had bombed the nuclear energy facility, and there was worries that we could have another Chernobyl.
Worse than Chernobyl.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I don't know where I am in all of this. It's been very, very tough watching and listening to the mothers and the children and the men, their stories as this small nation has been attacked by a superpower. But Putin has threatened, and he has the saber rattling of nuclear war. And I do remember, and I bet you remember, the Cuban Missile Crisis back in the 60s, and the duck and cover that both you and I had to do as part of our growing up as kids and in elementary school. What are your thoughts about this Ukrainian war? Should we get involved more than just sanctions, or should we just let this situation evolve as it's evolving?
I don't think we can get involved in a way without starting a major conflict. We're getting. It's hard to say, but I don't think that the U.S. or other countries can fight Russia and send in troops. I wouldn't like to see it. What I would like to see is more of the information of what's happening get back to the Russian people. I think part of the thing which they never had is, Putin is trying to control the media, which all dictators, actually, all even politicians, can try to control.
Yeah.
But what's happening is a lot of people in Ukraine, Ukrainians, are taking videos of what's happening on their cell phones, and then sending it back to their relatives in Russia. And they're seeing it's originally Putin, was going into Ukraine because he was protecting the Russians from the evil NATO people who were trying to take over the evil Europeans who's trying to take control over Russia and all their satellites.
Yeah.
Now it's being shown that Russia is destroying the Ukraine.
Yeah.
And the people, Ukrainians, a lot of them have Russian blood, or part of Russia, have relatives in Russia, vice versa, and and they're also kids and mothers and the kids, and when they bomb the hospital, with you see the kids going, the children in the bunkers.
And you wonder, what's the point? If Putin wanted to take back and reassemble old Russian, the old Soviet Union, what's the point with destroying all of the infrastructure, destroying the beautiful buildings, destroying all of the ability of people to be able to live in that country? And you call into question, and I know a lot of, we listen to the pundits and they're saying, well, Putin is crazy, he's unhinged and all of this. I think that's just a wanton speculation. And once again, the news media is not providing what it needs to provide us, is good solid information. And I'm astonished. The other thing I'm astonished about is that we're importing Russian oil, and we're continuing to import Russian oil, despite the fact that President Biden's put a whole variety of sanctions, mostly monetary sanctions, onto Russia. But I don't understand. I really don't. And maybe we can reach some agreement here. Why are we buying Russian oil? Why are we subsidizing his war efforts?
Well,
What are your thoughts?
I think
What
that's
are your thoughts?
I think that's gradually going to change. I'm not sure whether, again, I'm not sure how much we're importing the oil from them, or I'm not sure how much we create our own oil in this country, which we do have resources. I know you don't like what they did with the pipeline, but I'd like to see I mean, it's hard to say, how the other sanctions are going to affect them, because the other sanctions are going to affect the Russians in general, not necessarily the oligarchy. Which I heard an interesting analysis of, about taking back the yachts and the jet planes. It seems a lot of the Russians who live in England or Europe are really not part of the Putin contingency. They're not Putin's friends. They're from before Putin took over. Putin's people are still in Russia.
Interesting.
So when they take away the people, the European people, European Russians, Putin could care less, because they're not his people.
Well, I think in many cases, Putin could care less about anything. And it's the one thing that I do. The other thing I also don't understand is we saw the buildup of Russian troops almost a month and a half ago. And I guess I'm not quite understanding why we didn't send more weapons directly into the Ukrainians. And I mean, the big surprise, I think, has been the Ukrainian President Zelensky. And he's inspirational in his speeches. I mean, when you get a standing ovation from the European Union, I mean, talk about people who can't be moved. He moved them. He moved them to a point where they got up and applauded.
He has more than proven his worth. When he first got in, he has no political experience, as you know.
I think that's kind of refreshing.
he had a sitcom.
Yeah, that's right.
He's a comedian.
That's right.
He wasn't a politician or this famous intellect.
Yeah, that's right.
He certainly uniting his peoples.
Yeah.
And
I think I think that was part of the attractiveness of him. And I think it was part of the attractiveness for Americans to vote for Trump. I think that there is a frustration now with
Trump.
No, I'm talking about the career politicians.
The
people that have been in there for decades and decades, and not providing solutions for normal everyday Americans, which regardless of how you feel about Trump made some good inroads, and his policy. No, you don't have to hate the man. You just have to. I mean, his policies did make a difference, and I think that the reason that he had such popular support was that people were tired of the same old pandering of politicians. And
again, we agreed to disagree on Trump, because I think he did worse. He sort of left the NATO, which is now
he got NATO to start to pay up.
Right, but he was basically he was for breaking up NATO, which
No,
now,
no, no, he went, no, no, no. That's from MSNBC. He was not into breaking up NATO. What he wanted NATO to do, I gotta correct you. I'm a news reporter. I gotta correct you. He wanted the NATO members to pay the share that they were supposed to pay, which was 2%. That's what he wanted. And finally, now Germany has come to the realizations, oh my God, that Putin is more dangerous than we have any idea. And now they're starting to put more than 2% of their gross national product into weapons and into NATO.
well, that's part of the Biden thing is he strengthened NATO in a way, and in fact, even Putin was surprised about how the NATO countries are now getting together.
Well, I think when you see the type of carpet bombing and the type of warfare that's going on from Vladimir Putin, I think at that point, the NATO members are justly afraid and justly realizing that they could be next. So
As soon as if he's what's going to expand the war, and I don't think it will expand until that happens, is if he decides to invade NATO countries. And I didn't realize it's so close. I didn't realize that Poland is right on the border of Ukraine.
oh yeah, yeah.
And Russia.
So I mean, Putin's excuse that, oh, I don't want to be up next to a NATO country. If he takes over Ukraine, surprise, surprise, guess what? You're up against a NATO country.
When did Hitler start his march? In 36?
39. Actually, he started, I mean, officially, but yeah, 36, 37, but 39, yeah.
Czechoslovakia and Poland and
yeah,
was marching. Everybody was who was the prime minister of England?
Neville Chamberlain.
Neville Chamberlain.
And don't remind me of John Kerry, who said to the Russian President Putin, well, I certainly hope that this war will not interrupt climate changes.
Wow.
Just like, Malcolm.
What I think is that, if you want to go, when Congress lets out, when they you see them walking around, it's like a sea of white hair. I mean, you saw the State of the Union. McConnell is, that grim face, and he's about 80.
Yeah.
And all of these guys, don't they realize it's a new world out there?
Well, I don't mind the age because we're that age too. The problem that I have is just the pure ignorance of realizing that the rich are not going to be impacted by the inflation that we see. I mean, we got good jobs numbers today, but the wage gains of 5.7% are simply outdistanced by, we're at 7.1% on the inflation. And those job gains, incidentally, were prior to the Ukrainian war
Right.
being declared. So, I mean, I'm really tired, and I'm really, really tired at the fact that the news media continues to misreport all kinds of different things. And once again, I want President Biden to succeed, for crying out loud. But I was stunned at the State of the Union address. I mean, when he called Ukrainians Iranians. I mean, it's that sort of stuff that when our enemies are looking at the head of the free world, that it's that sort of stuff that you just scratch your head and go, what in the hell is going on? And a laundry list of, like he was on the campaign trail again, no solutions, just this laundry list of stuff. And then blaming corporations. Why don't you reduce your prices? Well, let's see, the producer price index, it's 19.7%. And how can you reduce prices? Wages are up. So blaming corporations for the fact that this is all inflation. No, economics 101, I hate to all remind us, economics 101 is when too much money, vis-a-vis the COVID money, stimulus money, what have you, when the Fed printing so much cash, all of that money chasing too few goods. That's what's going on. And unfortunately, they're talking about recession. today I was watching the stock market. Stock market has continued to go on down, except for oil, of course. Oil's now at a 40-year high at about $119 when I last looked before I came on the air. But solutions, folks.
Yeah,
We hire these politicians to give us solutions, not excuses.
well, corporations, I have one word about corporations, greed. And the corporations are not, the corporations, their bottom line is to make their stocks worth more for their shareholders. And for the CEOs are getting paid millions upon millions of dollars each year. And they get paid even though the corporation may not be successful that year. They still get paid.
Well, I prefer corporations than I do, in many cases, the government bureaucracy. Because government bureaucracy did not even foresee the situation with Putin and the devastation that we're seeing right now, or possibly all of the intelligence information from our government bureaucracy was ignored by our heads of state. I don't know which.
Well, our heads of states are the government. And
I understand that.
and then Biden was warning of what's happening. Everybody says, "Oh, Biden is a, who's the one that says the sky is falling?"
Oh, Chicken Little.
Yeah, they claim Biden of being Chicken Little. Putin is never going to do this. Look who was the Searsayer that knew what was going to happen.
Well, I do wish that he would have moved faster and sooner.
Yeah.
Would have gotten more weapons to the Ukrainians, and they're fighting their hearts out. And I don't know what's going to happen. But you're up against a superpower.
I don't know what's going to happen. I never realized that Ukraine was that big. I mean, they're almost like the size of the entire Europe.
Yeah, Texas, size of Texas. Isn't that amazing?
I think it's bigger than Texas.
No, they say it's about the size of Texas. That's remarkable.
40 million, over 40 million population.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a country.
That's a hell of a country. And once again, you wonder, what in the world is Putin doing? Why would he want to destroy the country? Why would he want to go ahead and destroy brothers and sisters to Mother Russia or Father Russia, whatever it is?
And he can't really occupy the country. I mean, maybe he can control the government, but he cannot occupy the country. It's too large.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And also it's going to be, it might be causing also a world famine. I didn't realize that Russia is the second largest producer of wheat.
Yeah,
and
Ukraine is.
Number two, number three, I think.
Yeah.
And not necessarily for this country. We buy wheat, but we I guess grow our own. But which I never could see why farmers were paid not to grow things. But anyway, that's a topic. That's another topic.
That's a whole different topic.
But I think Africa is aside from famine in Africa, it's gonna with what's happening with the water and the drought. Who the hell knows what's happening with the world?
I don't know, but you know what? The one thing that I have to say is that I'm glad that and you're certainly invited. For heaven's sakes, come and visit South Carolina. I know not a lot of people. There's a lot of prejudice against South Carolina, but it's a great part of the world. And so far at this point right now, our governor is holding the line. He's saying that you don't have to have our military vaccinated. We've got a new plant that's going to be opening up. BMW is going to be putting $200 million into a brand new plant here in Spartanburg. And a lot of, looks like a lot of technology companies. Many of them are stopping in Austin, Texas, but many of them are coming to, of all places, Greenville, South Carolina. The other thing was interesting is many Hollywood studios, smaller studios, are starting to come to Greenville. Did you know that?
Yeah,
film studios.
Did you see there was a little thing on, I think either 60 Minutes or Sunday Mornings with Jane Pauley, and I told you about it. I don't know whether you saw it about Green.
Yeah.
Did you see that one?
Yeah, it's funny because it's a big little town. And it's funny going into some of our little coffee shops and it's, hey, Deb, hey, Fish. My husband's name is Fish. His nickname is Fish.
I would like that environment, but what I would want is, you've heard of the actress Ruth Gordon.
Yeah.
And Ruth Gordon originally is from New York, New York area, and then she lived in Los Angeles. And they asked her, they said, in some interview, Ruth, where would be the perfect place to live? And she said, "Oh, I'd love to live, in the West Coast, overlooking the ocean. On a cliff overlooking the ocean, 10 minutes from Midtown Manhattan."
I love it.
And they asked us, they said, "Say, what's the difference of Los Angeles and New York?" She said, "Well, I live in Beverly Hills in New York, in Los Angeles, and when I step outside, this is not true anymore, by the way, but when I step outside, all of a sudden across the street, all of a sudden I hear cars braking for me, so I could cross the street." She said, "Where I live in New York, I live on Central Park West," and she says, "When I get out of my door and on the street, I see 3 blocks down are 2 cabs, and the cabs are revving their engine, and then it's a battle for me to get across the street before they hit me." In other words, in LA was too laid back.
Yeah.
Los Angeles, but LA was too laid back, and New York was, you had
Too
it
crazy.
sharp.
Yeah.
And I would love to live in Greenville, 10 minutes from Midtown Manhattan.
That's right. That's right. We got
What
Broadway
idea.
shows coming here. We've got Yo-Yo Man, who's going to be coming here. Chris Body is going to be coming. The trumpeter that actually he's great musician. We've got some great musicians that are coming on here. But the daffodils, I counted the number of daffodils. I told everybody last week about the number of daffodils. We're up to 70 daffodils, 70 daffodils that are out in the front lawn. And once again, we don't have a front lawn. I don't like to have lawns. So we have all natural stuff.
Every time I hear daffodils, I think it's Whitman. "I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd of golden daffodils."
That's beautiful. Very good. I always knew you were a poet.
Our daffodils are not weeds, are they? Or what am I thinking?
No, they're bulbs. They're bulbs.
The bulbs.
Yep, absolutely. They're absolutely fabulous. But it's beautiful weather here today. We had 4 or 5 days in the mid 70s, and in fact, we're liable to hit 80 degrees tomorrow. And then we got a cold streak coming on in. Once again, the weather here comes up from the Gulf. And what ends up happening from the wintertime is that we get the cold coming in from Canada, coming on down to the Midwest, and it meets the heat and the water from the Gulf. And it's fascinating. That's where you see the tornadoes getting started and what have you. And then it starts to traipse across here to Greenville. Fortunately, we have the Appalachians have the Eastern Continental Divide. And fortunately, we're on the other side of the Continental Divide. So, 9 times out of 10, we don't get the type of crazy weather that, we used to get actually in California. How is the weather in California? It's still droughty. Are you getting rain ever?
January and February were the 2 driest months on record. We had in November, there were a few days in November, there were downpours. And now every time they expect like showers, like today, we're sort of like overcast.
Yeah.
Except I love the clouds. I mean, I love not when it's all cloudy, like the puffy clouds. And again, as you know, I'm from Coney Island, and every time I see the puffy clouds, I think of cotton candy.
Yep, there you go.
The spun cotton candy and and it gets sticky. And now it wouldn't be good because it gets stuck in my beard.
There you go. But it's funny because we're now starting to see just the beginning. I can look outside the office window here, and we're just starting to see the beginnings of the leaves coming out on the trees. And of course, I'm getting the hydrangeas ready to go. And all the hydrangeas, they have hydrangeas that come off on old wood and some that come on new wood. So you have to be very careful about how you prune the hydrangeas. So I've got mostly old wood hydrangeas, and I'm starting to see just little beautiful lime green leaves coming out.
And you got to see the show I have with Maxine Rubin.
Good show.
Yeah, because she has a lot of people who I mean, you have a passion, but these people have a passion for plants. I
There
mean,
you
when they
go.
talk about it, it's there's a love, there's a feeling. You feel them touching it, you feel them smelling it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Even when I had a thing with Courtney on health, Courtney's also talking about the texture of food, the smell of the food, and
Ooh.
it's like passion. It's almost like sex. It is. I was telling the story over on Courtney on health how in my single days I'd always judge a woman how passionate she was when I took her out to dinner if she enjoyed the taste of food.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, there are people you go out with who, so, ooh, this is that, this is, were very finicky, who didn't like
Yeah.
it. I said, okay, that was the last date I had with him.
Thank you. Yeah,
But
I feel the exact same way.
people who would taste it, this tastes so good,
Yeah.
Okay, that can be a keeper. Let's see what the rest of them are like, the rest of their passions.
Well, it's funny because when my first husband passed, I was, of course, into back into the dating scene again. Oh, my Lord, at that age, and dating at that age was just really something. But I do remember I did the exact same thing when I would go out on a date. Um, there was one gentleman I was interested in, and who will remain nameless, obviously. But we would go to various types of restaurants, and the only thing that he wanted was the exact same thing:
Oh, forget
spaghetti. Spaghetti. Wait a minute. We're at a Jewish deli. You want spaghetti? I'm sorry. Just
it.
like, I'm out of here.
Did I ever
I'm
tell
out
you
of
the
here.
spaghetti story? Pasta all'ali.
Oh, tell me, tell me.
Yeah, pasta all'ali sounds like a delicacy, right?
Sure.
Pasta all'ali is pasta
Okay.
garnished with butter and ketchup.
I'll be damned.
And the reason why it's all'ali is because that's the way my mother made pasta, and she was Lee. But it sounded too, if I told people right away that's what it was, I go, ugh. But sometimes I was telling Maxine and Courtney about pasta all'ali, and Maxine was, oh my God, how could you have that? And Courtney says, well, sometimes when I'm in a rush, that's the way I make pasta.
There you
And
go.
she's from a big Italian family.
There you go.
Mary thought I was Jewish, and then my boys, who were 26 and 25, they always thought that was the way you make pasta.
There you
They
go.
didn't think it was strange. And they saw that's pasta all'ali.
That is too funny. Well, it's
Anyway,
great because the pandemic, now that they're saying that it's getting to be officially over, but it's been very nice. I mean, part of the positive things about the pandemic was it really forced me to be able to cook. So cooking 3 meals plus, and it's been great because then I get a chance to really experiment with great food. And of course, around here in Greenville, we have lots and lots of farms and dairies. So we can literally within 5 minutes go to a local dairy or to a local farm and pick up vegetables or fruits or whatever the case may be. But as I say, one of the positive things is kind of bringing us back to home and back to family. And it's been very interesting because my husband and I we go out on these long road trips and all of that. Well, with the gas prices the way they are,
road
we're at
trips.
365 now, 369 as of this morning.
We're almost
But
we're about up to $5.
oh no. Well, once again, we've budgeted ourselves to 1 tank of gas per month. But nonetheless, it's allowed us to be able to kind of explore things and get a chance to read and to get a chance to write and to do those things. I mean, those basic things that without the technology, you kind of forget. So I don't know. This has been a tough 2 years, no doubt about it.
Well,
But there have been some good things about it. There really have been.
I'm not a reader really. I like reading nonfiction, but fiction I get tired of because
I,
it's
I
sort
do
of
too.
I read the story, but I want to get to I don't like the descriptive end of it, which most people who like reading
Yep.
like descriptions. For me, I
Mm,
want to know what happened. I
yeah.
think it's too much of a raised with TV. But I don't know whether it's positive or negative, but it
Right.
gave me a chance to catch up on binge watching. The
Oh,
shows
really?
I've never seen
What
before.
was what are you binge watching?
My first one, I binged watch Mad Men. I did 7 years of Mad Men in like 2 months.
Oh, interesting. Did you obviously you loved it.
Yeah, but Mad Men. Have you ever seen that with John Hill?
I've seen part of it. Yeah.
But that was a little. I knew the people he was talking about because one of my second job was working for an ad agency.
Okay.
It was like that where the creative people were the kings, and
Yeah.
so I knew the people. I think they were like 10 years before me.
Okay.
Their situation, but I knew what they were getting into. It was very familiar.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And
I'm binge watching something called Seaside Hotel. It's a PBS creation and it's Danish. And it's very interesting. It's a story about a small hotel on the coast of Denmark, just north of Copenhagen. And the cast of characters that come back every single summer. And it begins by following a maid that is forced to go work up there because work is very scant. So she becomes a maid up in this seaside hotel. They're now wending their way towards World War II, and you can see all the various characters. But what's so funny about it was I'm learning Danish. I'm learning Danish, okay? Because
well,
there's subtitles.
you could be Danish. Your coloring and your hair.
I know.
But anyway, I hate to tell you this, but our time is up.
Oh no, you're kidding.
Yeah. But
Well, I can certainly recommend Seaside Hotel on PBS. You will very much enjoy it. It's very, very good. It's very gentle and it's very soothing, to be very honest with you.
what I've been watching is the marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
How is the next season? I watched it. I watched before that, but how's the next season?
I like some there. The one or two of them. I think we saw 6 shows. I think
Okay.
one was dull, but
Yeah.
there are parts of each show that is very good.
Good.
The
Good.
family interrelating.
Yes.
I mean, it's marvelous. Tony Shalhoub he is so funny
He's great.
as a father. Then what else
Yes.
will we watch? Oh, Ozarks.
Oh, really? Did you like Ozarks?
I like Ozarks, yeah, and
Cool.
it's a dark comedy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think today we have Uber. I forget the name of the show. It's
Oh,
about the
good.
starting of Uber. Then there's the thing with Dropout
Okay.
with
Okay.
Amanda I forgot, Safe.
That sounds right.
The one who did Mamma Mia.
Good. Well,
But
let's have some other suggestions on that. And I'll bring and I agree with you. I don't like fiction books. I like nonfiction. I like history books.
Yeah.
And there's some very good books that I can recommend that
Okay,
it's worth the time.
bring your list. But the thing, what I was going to say, my main benefit of the pandemic, it got me onto Zoom.
There you go.
I used to, I've produced radio shows. I produced your show. I know it must have been about 10, 15 years ago.
Yep.
And I've been doing that, but I never did Zoom until the pandemic, till about it'd be probably close to 2 years that I'm doing. And I have like 6, 7 shows on malcolmpresents.com.
Yeah, and they're excellent. If you haven't seen them, you need to watch them. They're excellent.
malcolmpresents.com. This show is Conversations with Deborah, bi-coastal dialogue.
Oh,
And
and
we
I'll
talk-
have to say goodbye because Gracie. This is Gracie. Say goodbye, Gracie.
Goodbye. Hey, no, say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.
I'll see you next week, kid.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye-bye.